filing a patent is a rocket science. This is something which is very complicated, very difficult, and particularly beyond the control of people like inventors. This is the general perception people have in their mind about filing the patents, but that's not correct. And to change this perception, in this video, we are going to meet Shikhar, who is known as Master Inventor, and he has more than 500 patents under his name. As an inventor, he is the engineer by background, he is the inventor, as well as he is an author. He has written 2 books on generative AI, and he has worked with many companies like Amazon, IBM, Wipro, and in his career, he has worked with startups as well as Fortune 500 companies. So in this video, I'm going to talk to him about how he started his journey from zero and how he reached to 500 patents filed under his name as an inventor, what problems he faced, so that you can also learn from his journey, from his experiences, and you can also start your own journey of filing the patents, maybe more than 500 in the near future. So let's meet him and talk to him about his journey, about his experiences. Today we have with us Shikhar, who is the master inventor, and today we'll be talking about how he has started his journey of becoming the master inventor and how he got a portfolio of 500 patents under his name. So welcome, Shikhar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vivek. Thank you for having me here.
So today we will be very keen to talk about how you have started your journey, Shikhar, about becoming the master inventor and how you built a portfolio of 500 patents in your name. So if you can let our audience know about your journey in brief, and particularly how you started filing the patents, and how you help the patent attorneys to draft the inventions for you, the applications for you, and then these finally got granted. So if you can just summarize your journey.
Sure. I'll try to crisp it down, but I think for the context, I'll take it from the time when I was in my undergrad, which was from 2010 to 2014. And in third year of my undergrad, I was part of a research-based startup under the guidance of my mentor, Dr. Gaurav Gandhi. At the time, we were trying to invent something, do a lot of different things, tinker with more on the IoT side, Internet of Things. And at that point, I remember I had reached out to one of the patent agents in India, and I was talking to him about one of the ideas that we had in mind that's spurred at the moment, and we wanted to see how we can take that forward.
So you approached that attorney?
We approached that attorney.
In India?
Yes.
Okay.
Back in 2013. Or 2013, 2014.
Almost 11 years back.
Almost 11 years ago from today. As soon as we started the conversation with him, I thought it's going to be a simple process and could streamline process hoga. As soon as the conversation started, we got more and more confused with how complicated this entire process seems. If I'll be very honest, for engineers who want to have not just the legacy, but want to feel proud of their achievements, they want to have at least a patent to their name that, yeah, I built something from scratch, or I did something which I can be known for at least, right? It's not just, not purely from a fame standpoint. It's just to make yourself proud that I built something from scratch. I did something, I invented something, and that is something no one can take away from me. I think most of the engineers share that dream. I also had this small dream ki, chalo theek hai, I'll talk to an agent or an
attorney. At that time, you were a student or you?
I was a student. I was a student working in a startup.
Okay.
And
your own startup?
Yeah, it was basically, I was part of a startup in which later on I was offered like a lead position. It was going good. Like for 2.5 years, I had my own fair share of learning opportunities with my mentor and to take it forward to that level.
So you went to that attorney and you got confused.
Yes, super confused. Like how this entire process, it sounded so complicated. And even financially, I don't think I had that much amount to actually go through the complications of having my own patent in India at this stage.
Okay, then what happened? So that was the beginning. You tried to file the patent application for your startup,
Right.
and finally you drop that idea.
Yes.
It was a very complicated process.
It was a very complicated process. 1 hour into the conversation with the attorney / patent agent, and we came out, and me and my friend decided, छोड़ यार कुछ और करते हैं.
Okay. So that invention or that idea got dropped.
Yes.
So it was in 2013.
2013 or 2014. Yes.
And now we are in 2024. So now let us know what has happened after that.
Sure.
And just fast forward from 2013 till 2024. Zero patent at that time.
Zero patents.
And 500 patents now.
Right. Zero patents at the time, just working on few papers, but at least in the engineering community, we know that papers, IEEE papers hold good value.
Research papers.
They hold good value. Right. But everyone yearns to have their own patent.
Still, in India and US, all the academic people, they are thinking of that the publication of the articles in the journal is the thing.
Is the gold ultimatum thing that they really desire. Correct. Because patent is really considered something unachievable at the time. Even at least for me, I can say, at the time, it just seemed like rocket science to me, and something that is unachievable in this lifetime. So we completely dropped the idea.
And if I will just ask that, which are the 2 points which you will consider are the bottleneck? Why inventors or the engineers are considering that patent is something alien, something not achievable? So वो 2 points क्या होंगे which you will
Number one, mention? Lack of awareness. About the patenting process in general.
Okay, and that's in India as well as in US.
In general, lack of awareness थी उस time पे भी. अब शायद obviously maybe the bar has probably reduced in US or maybe in some other countries. But I think India में अभी भी, at least when I talk to my friends, my peers from my college, NSIT or DC or IITs and all, I still feel that a lot of them think it's an unachievable goal and it's rocket science.
Something complicated, correct. Something very costly. Okay.
Yes. Right. And the second point would be going back to this thing कि it's a very complicated process and it is actually rocket science. So ये 2 points जो हैं, we shy away from taking barrier to entry जो होता है ना mind में, there is a barrier to entry कि how can we actually achieve that? फिर वो स्टेप ही लोग नहीं लेते हैं.
ठीक है. So we were talking about, so these 2 points are now very clear. So now let's go back to our main story.
Right.
From 0 to 500.
Sure. After the startup, and I worked for 1 year in Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India. वहाँ से exposure लेने के बाद, I went for my masters in Columbia University. So I was in New York at the time.
Okay.
वहाँ पे भी I was working on some IoT based idea, which was an intelligent infant monitoring system, which we tried to patent through the university. And still वहाँ पे direct interaction नहीं था with the patent drafter or patent attorney, because that would have been filed through the university. That also seemed very complicated to us. And again, from undergrad student to a professional in between, to back to a master student, जो rocket science feel होता था nature of a patent, and the complications were still intact in my brain. So still no progress. 2016, graduated from Columbia and then joined IBM. In the intellectual property position. So I was more focused on AI, IoT, IP engineering position. So think of it as a research-based engineer who would be reading a ton of papers and patents that IBM has and also other companies' products and portfolios to understand the overall research aspect of how a lot of inventions started, how patent infringement works, and some other details associated with the company. During that time, basically, I learned about, in my division, I was perhaps the only Indian in the group, and I met some other people who were prestiged with the title of Master Inventor.
Master
Inventor.
Yes. Okay.
And obviously the engineering mind and the curious mind in me got very excited about this term. It sounded very interesting and fascinating. Yeah, exactly what this master inventor means. And then some of my peers, perhaps 10, 20 years elder to me and been in the industry for a long time. And that was the norm, that someone who's expert in the industry has spent tons of experience building stuff and worked in different aspects from the bottom layer to the top applications to, more on hardware, software, anything of that sort. And who has that expertise is capable of being a master inventor. And then they explained to me that master inventor in IBM is someone who has 12 plus inventions of their own, which are granted at the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, or overall. They have at least 12 plus patents in IBM, and they are panelist or judge of basically judging other people's ideas, inventions, being panelist members, and at the same time who are also giving back to the community. So it's a distribution of all of this where you have this conducive environment.
Any inventor who is having 12 patents under his name will be called as Master Inventor.
Yes, and who is obviously giving back to the community and spreading the awareness about it.
So you entered, but how you became the Master Inventor then?
So that was one interesting journey. I was still that underconfident kid who did not know how to invent or had just learned.
Still zero patents under.
Still zero patents, and who had just learned about this term called Master Inventor and how you can achieve that.
Okay.
And that curiosity instilled maybe a bit of confidence in me to just engage with my peers and barge into a room where they were discussing some ideas about AI, about IoT. And again, in 2016, 2017, still, a lot of inventions were spawning in the field of AI, in the field of IoT, in the field of how you can merge hardware, software together, new hardware, software interfaces, and how you can take that to the next level. And I barged into the room. Perhaps I was eavesdropping on this conversation that they were having on 3D printers, on some related topic. And I said, guys, have you thought about this aspect? And I guess the first question or the first statement from those experts were, oh, we haven't thought about this idea, but who are you again? And it was more of like a chuckle moment and a fun memory for me, because I was still pretty nervous entering that room, but I just quickly wanted to share this idea after hearing this excitement of Master Inventor. Shared the thought of a cognitive 3D printer. A 3D printer which has AI embedded in it, which can reduce the time and cost and resources that would take to build a model that you give to the 3D printer from scratch. There are some advantages associated with it.
Okay, so that was your first invention.
That was the first invention.
That converted into a patent.
Yes, that was the first invention that I defended to a panel. And
that got accepted. And finally filed and granted.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. And then the journey started.
Then the journey just continued. It was kind of like dopamine for me. I was in this spiral of just talking to different people, engaging with them, talking about different ideas, brainstorming with them. Over the weekends where people would go to Starbucks to have coffee, I would probably sit with my laptop over there and then start thinking about some gossip or some kind of conversation I had with someone. And they would be, maybe, like as we are humans, we complain about different things in life. But how you can don your engineering hat on and think from an inventive mindset. Since I had already gotten that push from those first few inventions of mine, which I had defended to the panel, I just felt that I can definitely become, if not one of the youngest master inventors, but one of those people who can push themselves to be a master inventor and then also motivate other people in the community.
So you became the master inventor.
Yeah.
How much time it took?
As you know, it takes, for a patent to be granted, it can take anywhere from 18 months to even more, to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. From 2016 to 2019, I think my journey of inventions continued, and it quickly escalated. Like it started from there, exponentially increased to a couple hundred patents, and I think by 2019 was when I was eligible to be the master inventor.
3-4 years. Maybe.
Perhaps 3 years.
3 years.
Okay. 3 years from the time I started with my first invention.
In India, like you rightly said, patent filing and the process is considered to be very complicated,
right?
Particularly by the inventors or the people who have the inventors mindset. So what is your message to them? Because you are the inventor, you are the engineer on one hand, and the other side you have become the experience or the qualified in terms of understanding the patent law and other things. So you mixed both the domains, like technical plus a bit of patent law.
Right.
So what is now your message to people, particularly who are the inventors only, and particularly from the people who are in India, who only understand the invention and the R&D, but don't have any idea about patenting and related things?
Sure. I think one message that I would have is you have to remove that mental barrier to entry into the world of patents.
Okay.
Still, I would probably reiterate one thing. It's still considered rocket science.
Okay.
When I talk to people, I often hear, how do you have 500 patents? How did you become the world's youngest master inventor?
There's a reality.
Many patents.
You have.
And humbly speaking, I honestly tell them that it's really not rocket science. Anyone can become an inventor. If you are thinking of different ideas, and I'm sure everybody, even when they're bathing, even when they're just scrolling their phone or facing some kind of issues, either you can complain about something or you can think of a solution, right? And engineers are by nature wired to be solutionists.
Correct.
We will always think of one way or the other. In India, we call it being jugadu, right? Correct. So we know, if people have heard about frugal innovation, we are experts in that.
Correct.
We have the creative skills. We have the mindset to invent different things. We don't have to continue cognitively reinventing the wheel, but we can always think of creative ways of finding solutions to different day-to-day problems that we encounter.
Okay.
And not just for the engineers, like people have that knack of
the scientific mindset
to just think of different problems and ideas pertaining to those. And most of those ideas just vanish in a fraction of a second because you are not taking the time to maybe just write a one-liner of that in your phone, saving it as part of your mental memory with this phone card database, let's say, right? And later on trying to expand on it, trying to further brainstorm on it. You and I can sit together for 1 hour, think of, hey, how we can expand like smart lighting in the room, how we can make something more smarter, that chairs can automatically rotate when we try to walk in and identify us and then reposition themselves. And there are inventions in that domain, by the way. So there are these very little nitty-gritty points that often come to our mind, but they also vanish.
Correct.
Because we are not diving deeper into those aspects. We can, but we don't, because we don't see any outcome from it. If we become outcome oriented, because see, in India, I don't know how many engineering colleges are there, probably 70,000 or so, right? And none of them are going in the area of inventions per se, like going in the area of pushing themselves to brainstorm idea with the goal of patenting, again, because of this complications. I'm sure a lot of them would have tried, but for a lot of people, like it happened for me, financial constraints. Talking to a lawyer, you get more confused. You walk out of the room disappointed.
Correct.
So all of these leave you demotivated, and then you go back to your journaling path, like writing research papers and then trying to publish it, spending 6 months into simulations and all of that.
So if your recommendation is that all the engineers or the inventors should also know something about the patent laws, the patenting processes, or if that is your recommendation?
I think part of it is, definitely. Because see, if they are aware of this patenting process, and once they understand that, hey, it's not really complicated. The way I was told in 2013, that's not the real picture.
Correct.
Right? The real picture is, it's very streamlined.
Very simple, very streamlined.
Yeah, exactly. You start with just writing your idea. If you can explain your idea, just like I'm a big fan of Richard Feynman. He used to say that if you can explain your idea to a 5-year-old, then you understand it well enough.
Correct.
So if you are able to just draft the steps, what it would take.
In steps particularly, you are talking about the segments of a patent, like what is the background, what is the summary of the invention, and particularly the claims, that is the scope of protection.
Yes. And just for the viewers, right, like claims can be like related to functionality of your patent, functionality of your idea. That is well drafted. It can be legalized as well, but you are always...
By a patent attorney, maybe.
Yes, you can always work with a patent attorney to add the legal verbiage.
Correct.
But at least what you can do is you can write the steps in a simple way that it can be reduced to practice by someone skilled in the art. If you are working on some cognitive or an AI-based invention, write the steps in a manner that, someone can take these pseudo steps that you have written, reduce it to practice. So you don't really also need to actually take it all the way from POC or conceptualization to, like, let's say, productionization of that use case that you have thought about. So you don't really need to implement it end to end. It can even be a POC. It can even be a draft that you have written very well that can be taken
forward. And then finally that can be developed into a full-fledged patent application by a patent attorney.
Because I think a lot of people don't know this aspect as well, that you don't really need to implement it end to end in order to have a patent of your own.
Right.
So that's another learning that I received when I learned about this master inventor and patent.
Excellent. And in India, not only in India, anywhere, if you are talking about doing something, people don't get motivated till the time they have a success story in terms of monetary value.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
वो interest नहीं आता.
हाँ जी.
So can you share some light on this aspect also, that by in your journey from 0 to 500, what monetary or financial gains, maybe if that's not confidential,
Sure.
maybe that will motivate a lot of people. If a person like you, who was primarily into the R&D side, the invention side, finally completed a journey from 0 to 500, and in that journey, if you have made some monetary benefits also, if you can share some success stories, some light on this aspect.
Sure, absolutely. One piece of motivation is definitely companies across US, and I'm sure in India, across the world, let's say, will give you some token amount or some money, some financial aspect is associated with patenting. And even though the ownership belongs to the company, let's say you have your own startup, then of course you are the boss of, you own the patent as well as you are the inventor. You are, more than welcome to go taking that route. One incentive is that you can be given some monetary incentive from the company because you are an inventor. It can be as simple as like, 100, 200, 500,000 dollars for every patent. And I know people in India also get that when they are working in an MNC on a global scale. And a lot of inventors, I know in India,
like IBM might have a full-fledged policy to incentivize the inventors.
Correct, absolutely. And a lot of companies do that. If you don't want to take that route, let's say you are still a student. Yes, there can be an initial cost associated with it, right? Working with a patent drafter or someone. But now if you have the skills to just, let's say, draft your own idea and submit it to the Indian Patent Board, and once it gets filed, of course, you are not getting monetary benefit from the Indian Patent Office per se, but think about how much elevation you are doing to your profile. You are already a winner.
Correct.
From other people who are just doing their BTech, who are just doing their engineering degree without having their own invention in their name.
In their hand.
Any company will be extremely lucky to have a resume that shows that, if let's say I have two resumes, one shows, great work experience or great number of projects that you have done, and yeah, you have some research papers, great, and all of that. And there's another resume, similar kind,
patent,
work experience and all of that, but I see one or two inventions over there that has been patented by this person, and that's a wow factor for a lot of companies across the world.
Correct.
Even when some companies I have engaged with or had the pleasure of interviewing in the past, every single time I've been asked this question: what are some of the patents you are proud of? It doesn't take the route of just purely papers, because papers are something people have. I'm not talking down about the papers. There are a lot of different communities which are pro papers and which are more into having a paper or a journal.
Paper can be filed anytime after filing the patent.
Paper can also be filed anytime after the patent.
Vice versa can't happen.
Yes. And again, huge respect for people who are able to have their papers in a journal, in a IEEE Nature or in a New Rips conference. Amazing work done by those people. They already have one, like they already have a great profile. But then if you have a patent, you have another edge on top of 95% people of the world who don't have an invention.
So they can have a very simple policy: patent first, publication later.
Yeah,
because vice versa can't happen.
Yes.
Publication first, patent later can't happen.
That can't happen.
But both always can happen. File the patent, then file the
one after the other. Yes.
Journal.
Exactly.
Perfect. So again, coming back to that story, maybe I'm assuming that in your journey from 0 to 500, you might have got a lot of financial gains. I'll not go into the details. Maybe that might be confidential, but it's sure that you might have made a lot of benefits. So in India, recently, the Patent Office has announced one thing wherein any inventor can get the inventor certificate. So patent grant is one thing, patent certificate is one thing. In that certificate, primarily the name of the applicant is there or the patent owner. But if the name of the inventors are not there, then there is a provision in the amended patent rules wherein if I am the inventor, I can apply and get the inventor certificate, and that certificate will add a lot of value in my resume. I can add that certificate in my profile to show that these certificates, or 5 or 10 I have as the inventor.
That's amazing. And,
Right.
and that definitely elevates your profile all of a sudden.
Correct. And like you said, if I will have two resume, one without the mention of the patents and one with the mention of the patents, I will prefer to go for the second one.
Of course. So monetary benefit in terms of getting interviewed, getting selected at a senior position. Because if you have a patent, it's an assumption, and it's a fair notion that you are an SME, you are a subject matter expert in that field.
Correct.
Because if you have a patent in that field, of course you have done something cutting edge. So you have definitely worked on something like state of the art stuff, right? So people would of course want to hire you at a higher remuneration scale.
You are becoming a two-in-one sort of person.
Yeah, exactly.
Technology you can understand because you have that background, but in addition you are now able to understand the patents part of it.
And I've heard a lot of people talking about, hey, I want to have a legacy of my own. Right. So for people who want to take that route, however you lead in life, always Google search is not going to go away.
Correct.
People can search your name. The first thing that can pop up in your name
is as an inventor is always there.
Yes.
So even if let's say you are with company X, you filed a patent or your company has filed a patent, adding you as one of the inventors.
Right.
Maybe tomorrow you will leave that company.
Right.
But your name as an inventor will always be there in the records of the patent office and anyone can search.
Exactly.
For example, Einstein, very few people know that he was the patent examiner before becoming the inventor. Right.
Exactly.
So his name is still there in those patents. And there could be similar examples wherein people filing the patents will always have their name in that certificate, in that patent application number. So this is your recommendation.
100%.
It's forever.
Exactly. It's forever. You already won. If you wanted to create a legacy of your own, you already won. Put it on your LinkedIn profile. You'll probably start getting...
No one can stop you because it's a public information.
Exactly. And people search your name. Of course, when companies are trying to hire you, they will search your name. They will look at what you have done in life. And even if it's not there on your LinkedIn, the moment you put it on LinkedIn, I'm sure every week you're going to start getting like recruiter calls and asking you to be a part of their company.
So it's your recommendation is that add patents and then get hired for much better packages.
Yeah, why not?
Correct. On those lines, you are aware about Indian Patent Office conducts the patent and trademark agent exam every year. So would you recommend that if clearing the exams particularly by the engineers, people who have the scientific or technical background, so if people can clear the patent agent exam and then the final year student of a BTech can clear the exam, would that add any benefit and would that change any perspective?
I think so. Honestly, I think so, because the fact that they are planning for that exam means they are aware, they are motivated to already upskill themselves. Right. And I'm assuming, as you said, that it's any BTech person is eligible for giving
the
that
final
exam.
Year student can appear.
And if they're willing to just put some time to study for the patent exam, multiple benefits. One, they will understand the patent process.
Correct. Even if they will not clear the exam.
Even if they will not clear the exam, they will not have the struggle of what I faced in 2013.
Right.
Getting out super confused.
At least they will be able to understand the language which IP attorneys will talk to.
They will understand what a utility patent is, what a design patent is, what a provisional patent is.
What are the process? What are the timelines?
The timeline and the process.
Right.
And when they have it streamlined in their mind, I think that automatically reduces the barrier to entry to invent something of your own.
Correct. And by clearing the exam, they can file their applications, of course, plus their colleagues, their friends' applications.
Exactly. You probably can have your own services provision to other people for filing patents.
Correct. And India is growing in terms of economy. Patent applications are, the filed numbers are increasing day by day. So I think clearing the exam will add a lot of value.
Absolutely.
Right.
If a lot of engineers are motivated to do this, again, we talked about elevating your profile. And it's a win-win situation for you and monetary value also, right? Where once you are aware of this process, as you said, you can file your own patents, right? You don't need a patent drafter.
Or maybe if you will need, at least towards the end of or the very, very final stage you will need.
Right. And that's going to substantially reduce your cost. You're not going to spend like tons of lakhs or something on having a patent of your own, maybe a couple $1,000 rupees. And then
because you have drafted a good application to be reviewed by the patent attorney. Maybe just by investing 1 hour, that person, the agent or the attorney will finalize the application which you have drafted.
Exactly. And if you already have the template,
Correct.
background, prior art search and all of that.
Right.
Then, yeah.
And a patent attorney cannot understand the invention up to that level which the inventor can himself or herself can understand.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think that will add a lot of value. Yeah. Right. So thank you so much. And if you have any specific recommendations for Indian small companies, startups, or maybe the academic institutions, what they can contribute in making India a number one top or the top IP filers globally, what they can contribute or what role they can play.
I think the most important aspect is spreading education, spreading awareness about how to get started with patenting.
Okay.
The 0 to 1 step is how to at least get started. So if there are some classes, some online, like just 1 hour lectures or something that they can attend.
So that they can become IP aware.
Exactly.
Right.
Once they become IP aware, they know the process, get streamlined in their mind, automatically the barrier of entry reduces.
And then they can have something similar to what IBM used to have, the Master Inventor, or maybe something similar.
Exactly. Because I share a common vision over here that now is the time to absolutely give back to the community. Lead this Indian nation with their creative minds to the next level. We are capable of becoming much more advanced, technologically speaking, and at the same time, pushing all the engineers to think from an inventive mindset. Just don your hat on, inventive hat on. Start writing these ideas. Start drafting them in a way that can be reduced to practice and that can be understandable by the drafter, or become a drafter on your own.
By having some training.
Yeah, just submit your idea to Indian Patent Office after you have drafted it and take it forward.
Very, very smart approach could be wherein the inventor can draft the provisional application. Let's say out of 10 provisional applications, then maybe 1 or 2 can be finally turned into the complete application by himself or maybe by the help of a patent attorney.
Absolutely.
In that way, he will be able to save all of their 10 ideas and finally convert out of these 10, maybe 1, 2, or 3 into the granted patents.
Exactly. Instills the confidence in them to actually get started on their own. And I will reiterate this for one last time. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to have a patent of your own.
Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it. Absolutely. I started from being this, as I mentioned, this underconfident kid who
dropped that idea of filing a patent application 0 until 500.
Exactly.
And in just few years only.
Yeah. You just need to have a passion for building stuff, or just thinking of something new, or listening to people not with the intent to reply, but with the intent to understand.
Right.
And then you start working on some of your ideas.
Right. Thank you, Shikhar. Thank you so much. And I think very soon we are going to host one webinar wherein we will be inviting on the knowledge sharing side or the panelist side. We will have people like you who will be sharing their story of how they started their journey from 0 to 500. Maybe there are people who have filed thousands of applications in their own name. And on the other side, on the audience side, we will have people who either have few patents filed, maybe 5, 10, 20, or maybe they are planning to file, or maybe they can get motivated or get clarity from the conversation which these panelists will share. And then they can start their own journey into this patenting domain. So we will be inviting you and many other inventors who have thousands of patents in their own name. So I'll be very happy and very keen to host you in that webinar. And maybe in that webinar, you can share your journey in detail.
Absolutely. I'll be humbled and honored to share my journey with everyone. And we can also dive into some of the good patents, bad patents, how you can think of those ideas. Because I think a lot of people, when they think of patents, again, they think it's very technical, of course it's technical, but how advanced it needs
to be. What is good or bad again?
There can be different kind of patents. Like, interestingly, there was one toilet patent that had come out. Okay. I will not dive into the details at this point, but if someone Googles or searches over it, they'll be able to find a couple of links on that. Okay. And then there was this drone patent. It's a mind map drone based aspect where, let's say you have this a smart device which is taking the signals of your brain to instruct the drone to, let's say, bring you coffee or something.
Not even your eye movement,
just thoughts. Your brain signals, your thoughts. Okay. And imagine what can go wrong. The moment the drone comes in to bring you coffee, and literally on top of you, and your brain starts thinking about something else,
it will go away.
Something can literally spill on you, and I don't think anyone would enjoy scorching heat on their lap. So, so these are just some of the different kind of ideas that people have actually patented. And again, I mean, they can become really popular as being troll patents, or they can be.
Patent troll is another interesting subject. Maybe we can touch upon on that topic. Maybe another episode or webinar.
Sounds good.
All right, Shikar, thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I hope you have liked this video, got some insights from Shikar. And now I'm going to make a community of inventors wherein people like Shikar and many more such inventors who have completed this journey of filing patents, maybe 100, thousands, and now they are ready to share their experiences with the people who are about to start this journey of filing the patents under his or her name. So to meet such people, to learn from their experiences, I'm in the process of making the community, the WhatsApp community. So if you are an inventor and you have filed maybe, let's say, one application under your name as an inventor, as an applicant, or maybe you are thinking of to file patents in the near future, so then please join this community. The link to join the community is in the description. Please join and let's keep in touch and start your journey of becoming an inventor who has multiple patents filed under his name.